Welcome back to Spotlight Television. Telnet is a telecommunications and information technology solution provider. Joining me on the show today is the president and the CEO, Hutan Rusta, and Mike Dorranian, the EVP of Business Development. We start with Hutan. Hutan, welcome to Spotlight Television.
Thank you, Damon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys here. Obviously, 5G is the new thing we'll talk about. Everyone's excited about that and the effects it will have on streaming and telecommunications and everything and how it's going to change our life. We all remember going from 3G to 4G and what an upgrade that was. So we'll talk a little 5G as well. But tell me about Telnet. Tell me about where you guys are headquartered. Tell me a little bit about the company and what you guys are doing.
So Telnet is a wireless engineering and IT solution provider. We provide network planning, implementation, testing, optimization. We also provide in-building solutions, basically coverage for in-building and large venues. We also provide regulatory services, which is electromagnetic emission or E911 testing and audits, surveys for implementation of different technologies.
Talk to me about who is the customer base you're serving?
So we provide services to different categories. The wireless carriers, like AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon. Also the enterprise and the commercial sector, which are the building owners, the venue owners, large venues where there's a lot of people there, where there's capacity and coverage needs. And also the equipment vendors that provide services to these carriers.
So now that we understand kind of what you do and who you're serving, let's talk about where you're doing it. Are you doing this in specific locations? Where are you providing these services?
Well, Damon, we're headquartered in Rockville, Maryland, but we provide these services all across the nation. Anywhere there's a need, anywhere where the clients have a demand, we can deploy the teams and do the services.
Right, so you're going in no matter where it is. You're going in nationally to any building, any stadium, any of these venues. If they have a need, you guys can service it. You come in, develop a plan, and then implement.
Exactly.
What are some of the main factors that really separate you guys in what you're doing?
So our past experience, 24 years in the industry, and the experience of the team that help us support the services that we provide, and also our ability to quickly adapt to the new technology, like, for example, going from 4G to 5G. And the proprietary tool that we use to manage the projects that are large-scale, widespread geographically, and we've built this tool over the past 20 years, so it's been used a lot in all of our projects and help us deliver those very successfully. And also our ability to automate and create customized tools for the need of the project and make that project successful.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of commercials for some of the big sporting facilities and how they're upgrading to 5G. So are you guys dealing in that world as well, where you go into a huge facility like that and go in and partner with like a Verizon or partner with someone like that and help that facility upgrade their...
Sure, either the venue owner or the carriers would provide that service for either of them. And we, places like stadiums, hospitals, big buildings, government places.
Now, is each customer's needs different? I guess this is kind of what you said about adapting to, what's the process of from acquiring a new customer, going in, kind of seeing what their needs are, then do you have to go back and adapt what's proprietary to you guys already, your software, for the needs of that customer?
Well, our software helps us deliver the project. The customers have different needs, so we have to go test, see what that venue has in terms of capacity or coverage, and then we devise solutions for it. And depending on what they have, we have to select different equipment to implement and design.
With the advancement in technology and the way things continue to advance, how much adapting does your team have to do for clients, even within a 12-month period? Is there a lot of changes? Is there a lot of adapting what you guys do to continue to keep up?
Sure, there's a lot of changes from technology to technology, from different parameters, different settings, different equipment. It's very different from technology to technology.
And is there an industry that you're focused on more than any other, or is it just the core kind of what you said as far as hospitals, stadiums, bigger venues, and is there one that you're more focused on than any other, or?
No, everyone uses cellular. Everyone uses mobile phones, so it covers pretty much everybody. But the need, for example, for the in-building is really for this type of venues, the large buildings, the owners of different properties around the country, like the REITs, the real estate investment trusts.
Sure.
And but generally, when we approach them, depends if they're willing to go get the solution or not. But that's becoming more and more prominent, and government is putting mandates for the buildings to have these implemented inside.
How much of what the government does affects you, let's say, on a yearly basis? Are there things that come from Washington that make you want to pull your hair out? And are there things that come from Washington that you say, wow, this is really helpful?
Well, most of it is to help the population, and it usually creates more mandates and it creates more business for us. So in the past, there was no requirement for the buildings to have these coverages, but now they started doing all new buildings, and recently they started adding existing buildings that do changes. So it's all this evolution helps the population.
So when you go into a job, a stadium, a church, a big venue, what's the timeline on a project like that? I mean, you guys must be there it must be quite a substantial amount of time and quite a substantial number of community, local, state, federal that you are incorporating, working with it all at the same time. How does that work?
Well, the needs are there. It's really the willingness of the owners to implement these solutions, and that's become more and more prominent. They're willing to do more of these investments. Before, the carriers used to put a lot of these solutions in the populated buildings, but now they're scaling back a little bit, and then the venue owners are the ones who are starting to put those solutions in place and thinking about it, that the needs are there because the customers are asking that.
And I would think, I know we're going to talk to Mike about 5G as well, but I mean, 5G is really going to change the landscape for everyone, and how much what you hold in your hand, what we keep with us all the time, is going to affect our lives. How do you see that 5G affecting in-home solutions, where right now, let's say we're paying a Verizon or a Sprint or somebody to bring internet into our house? How much does 5G affect those services in your mind, where people say, I don't even need that anymore. 5G on my phone is going to provide me everything I want, no matter wherever I go.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that changes the landscape, but I'm sure the cabled providers will be still there and providing these solutions. But yeah, there is the case where a lot of people will move away from those.
So tell me a little bit about your background in this industry. Obviously, it's something you're passionate about. Tell me about how long you've been doing it and how you got into it.
Well, Damon, I have about 29 years of experience in the RF engineering world and the IT world. And in 1995, I founded Telnet and started doing engineering services. And over the years, we added different departments to start doing turnkey solutions. We added the IT to do tools and automations. Then we added the operations department to do installation type work, maintenance type work. And we later on added the regulatory department to do these compliances and certifications. So my background in the RF world is the network planning, testing, optimization, implementation, and migration to new technologies. And in the IT world, in the network management and network security, as well as software architecture and development. That's what we use to develop our tool, the project management online tool that we use to run the projects.
So, Mike, I was talking to Hutan, and I want to ask you the same question. In your mind, in simple terms for the audience, what is it that Telnet does?
In a very simple term, assume that you go to a place and you have one bar on your phone. You can't make a call, or the call is choppy. That's because lack of coverage or interference or capacity issue. So we're there to identify how we can remedy and come up with a solution to fix that. So this involves designing the parameter of the system, such as antenna that goes on the towers or on the rooftops. We kind of tune them to give you the maximum coverage. In some cases, we have to decrease the power to eliminate interference and so on. That's one part of it. We also provide safety services, like there might be a concern of a business owner of having antenna on his roof. Is it safe for people there or not? So we do certification and verification. We certify that building. If it's not safe, we provide solution again by putting barriers and signage, notice signs that keep the distance.
I talked to Hutana obviously about some of the client base and who you're serving and some of the areas that you guys are going into. But let's talk about, as we head into 2020, let's talk about some of the products and services that you guys are focused on, and maybe some of the new technologies that you guys are looking to implement in the next coming 12 months. Tell me a little bit about some of that.
Overall, we're looking at any service that require wireless signal to be going from point A to point B. And that can be wireless carrier need this coverage for cellular, which is 1G to 5G. They've been using it. So we can assist in providing services to wireless carrier to set up their network. This could be public safety coverage. This is the frequency that first responder use during the emergency. So if there's a fire or any emergency, the fire department, the police, the ambulance, they all have to communicate. And if there is a dead zone in a building, that's a life-threatening situation. People can lose their life. So government has mandated that any new building coming up has to have the public safety coverage for them to get permit. So that creates a long, another avenue for us to go in, make sure we cover the dead zone, repeat the signal, and make sure they're robust and first responder can use their device to communicate. Another area is coming up. This is a new thing, CBRS, which is a private network, which is kind of using the LTE technology which is there, but it's only entitled for one building. So you can have, any building owner can have a private network, kind of an alternative to Wi-Fi. So you don't need Wi-Fi, you just put a private network. And the advantage is that private network, because of using LTE, it's a faster network, the security is much higher, and it's more fit to support IoT devices which need a fast and robust, architecture to connect.
So I talked a little bit before about 5G, and I want to get your thoughts on it, and how you guys are how it's going to change kind of the landscape of what you do. But just overall in general, what can you tell us about 5G? How is it going to change our lives? Like what's the time? I mean, we're starting to see it pop up in certain cities. You're seeing 5G where it's available if you have if your phone is ready for it. But tell me about what you see 5G. What's the landscape like? How is it going to change everything?
So if 4G is 100 megabyte, we're talking about 10 gigabyte. So it's a much faster, technology. The other thing which is important, it has a low latency, which makes a lot of devices to be able communicate quickly, which they couldn't before, like AI, augmentation reality, also connectivity between IoT devices that are out there will need a robust and fast and low latency system such as 5G. However, it's not like that we're going to have 5G this year. It's going to be another decade before we have 5G nationally all over the U.S. I think some of the wireless carrier right now will have 5G in like 20 to 30 major cities, only in the cities, by end of this year. and probably they cover all the cities and connecting highways in 2020, and then they go and cover everything else after that within the next 7 to 10 years.
Is there an industry that you think will be affected more by 5G on the beneficial side? Is there one industry maybe that you guys are working with or in that you feel 5G will really significantly change?
Yeah, there are a smart building and a smart cities are fully dependent on 5G. Wireless cars, right? Fully automated buildings that have a central computer managing everything in the building, such as HVAC, heating, security, whatever you can think of. Right now there are intelligent building out there, but it's not a smart building. What it means is you have maybe 10 different applications, each handle a certain area. But with a smart building, we have one central computer that manages everything in the house and connect it to the city. So that becomes a smart city and a smart building connected. Without 5G, that's not possible. The other thing, again, the tool sensors that connect all this together, which we call it IoT, Internet of Things, also has, need 5G for its, performance.
So let's talk about the next coming year. Let's talk about the products and services you're focused on and maybe some upcoming projects that you're focused on, kind of the landscape for you guys over the next 12 months.
In next coming years, we are going to focus on enterprise sector, and that's because wireless carriers right now covers all the major public venues such as airport, hospitals, stadium. Actually, they fund this project, and they ask companies like us to help them to put a distributed antenna system there, which covers all the frequencies and make the service reliable in there. However, they're not going after the mid-size or large high-rises, and then it's up to the business owner whether they want to provide that coverage, fund it themselves or not. So there are a lot of buildings and venues right now all over the nation that needs this service, and we are going to talk to them and try to put a DAS system for them, also put a public safety coverage system for them. So we're going to take all of their needs as far as wireless, which is DAS system for wireless carriers, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T. And also, if they need private network, they want to have an alternative to Wi-Fi for security and IoT and all the things that we talked about. We can give them a private network, and public safety, make sure they have the coverage for public safety in case of emergency, there is no harm.
So let's talk a little more about the public safety aspect of what you're doing. Who are your potential clients when it comes to that?
Property managers, business owners, construction companies, because it's more beneficial and cost effective to install the fiber and the system right at the beginning stage of construction. Same thing with REIT, real estate investment trust companies, and the government entities.
So tell me a little bit about your background in the industry and how long you've been doing this.
I started my career in 1990 with a telecom company, which was involved in doing several international deployment on the wireless side. We did the first 2G GSM technology in Germany. That was for 3 years, and then we did the first CDMA network in Korea, South Korea. And after that, I came to US. We did a number of, launched a number of networks for US carriers. And then it was about 1997 when I joined Telnet as an RF engineer. Then I became, into management after a few years. I was promoted to director and EVP level, and here we are today.
So let's give a final message to maybe potential new customers out there, and also give some information on where potential customers and clients can go to get in contact with you and read up a little bit more about the company.
Sure. For any customer out there that need solutions in their building to provide better coverage or capacity to their tenants, we can help them create solutions depending on their needs and satisfy those customers that they have. And they can go to our website, www.telnet-inc.com, and go from there.
Great. Well, Hutan Rusta, thank you so much for being here on Spotlight Television today.
Thank you, Damon.
And we'll be right back.